What up, y'all? It's third video. You know, I know y'all noticed the pony. You know what I'm saying? Same shirt. We not changing it up. Uh, Let me see. There's probably one more thing I have in the clip. I know what it is. So, if it's one thing that gets me more, if there's one thing that agitates me so much, it's people who try to state their opinion as if it is a fact. This happens with politics. This happens with music. This happens with life decisions. Everybody is entitled to their own opinion. Some opinions are problematic depending on your stance. If you're somebody that says you support Donald Trump, cool. Your opinion of him is he's a good person, he's a good president, whatever your opinion is, you supported him, cool. If you're somebody that says, you know what, I don't support Donald Trump, I don't like what he's doing, your opinion is valid. Your opinion is relevant as well. But I feel like if y'all can't say how y'all feel and move forward as like grown adults, there's an issue. Learning to be able to have discourse with people who don't have the same opinion of you is whew. Oh my goodness. Social media has shown me that it is very hard. Because then everybody's trying to fact check one another, and then everybody gets into this big debate of, well, this is what they're doing, well, this is what I think they're doing, well, this is what's happening, well, this was this, well, this was that. Everybody has their own facts, and everybody's going to want to be right, but ain't nobody want to just, like, what's the point? Regardless of who the president is, regardless of if Astro World was trash or not, regardless of if 6ix9ine is going to go 8 for 8, opinions are opinions. You don't like it, you don't like it. Like, I'm not going to sit here and say, oh, yeah, well, this is what's going on. Like, I'm not very, I'm in tune with politics, but I'm not, tapped in, to know, yeah, I'm going to bring up this article that they posted this date, and this is what he did this day, and this is what the act he signed that time. Nah, I'm not really in tune with it like that. But I'm also not going to sit here and go back and forth with somebody like, oh, well, you know what? Your opinion's problematic. Your opinion might very well be problematic. But it's very hard for me to sit here and I don't have enough energy to sit here and go back and forth on social media anymore, to be quite honest. And I feel like Facebook is the best place for me to put this because this is where I see it the most. And don't get me wrong, to everybody that I see holding it down and saying, look, this is how I feel and I'm standing on it. And if I see something that I don't like, I'm going to speak on it, cool. Because like I said, everybody has their opinion. Everybody is attributed that right. You have the right to speak on that matter. You have the right to tell them, look, this is how I feel about it. I don't like your opinion. You don't gotta like nobody's opinion, but you also can't sit here and tell somebody else you're wrong for an opinion. On both sides. I don't care if you a liberal. I don't care if you I was about to say Democrat. I don't care if you a conservative. I don't care if you a Republican, a Democrat. I don't care about none of that. You have to be able to have a conversation with somebody. Trust me. It'd be difficult. Especially when, hold up, why it ain't focused? Especially when somebody don't have the same opinion as you, you'd be like, I don't know about this. I'll give y'all a quick story. I was on a plane, when I was on my way to San Antonio, I ran into to a lady, she was a professor at UConn. She's a political science professor at UConn, right? And she was reading this book called White Rage. So I was like, I wonder what that book's about. So I was like, should I talk to her now? I'm like, nah, I'm kind of tired. I'm like, I'll wait till the end of the flight. So the end of the flight comes around and I ask her about the book. I'm like, so what are you doing research on? And she's basically talking about how she was posing this whole research project as to, politics, race, blah, blah, blah. And she was telling me about the stance that she was taking on it. And she goes, I feel like psychologists try to get, too caught up in how the mind works and, there's a history to these things. And I was like, she goes, yeah, you're not really looking at the history of these things. It's not, for me being somebody who's real into psych, and I'm, in the back of my mind, I'm like, okay, there's a history also to psychology and why they're thinking about it these days because people are very cyclical in nature and these things happen to repeat themselves. And it's no matter of, it's not a coincidence. That's human nature. So it makes sense that psychologists would, in my mind, it makes sense why psychologists would want to study, what are the psychological effects, where are the psychological traces of that. And she was very grounded in her political science beliefs, which is cool. It's fine. It's fine. I'm not mad at that. But we was able to have a conversation about that. I was able to accept what she was saying in the same way she was able to accept what I was saying. Two people from completely different stances on the subject, on the matter, able to converse. Complete stranger, by the way. I don't know this lady from a hole in the wall, but she was just a person sitting next to me. But I was also able to have a conversation with her. Conversation can be very powerful. I'm a firm believer in that. I feel like if we can have a conversation on something, then it helps, because if we can converse on it, then we probably more likely to come to a solution than if we argue on it. If we're both trying to sit here and talk about how much I'm right, how much more right I am than you are, then it doesn't do anything. But also for you, how do I put this? You very cynical people who consider themselves to be very highly intelligent, but also not be intelligent enough to have a conversation with somebody without feeling like you have to show your superiority to them. I don't really like that either. I don't like when people try to come across like they know more than somebody else, regardless of their political stance, regardless of all the facts and the articles that they pull up. It doesn't matter how much intelligence you have. You're not intelligent enough to have a conversation. You're not really intelligent to me. And that's my opinion. You know what I'm saying? That might be problematic, but, my opinion is my opinion. You don't have to like it, but I still have my right. I have a right to my opinion. And I don't have to justify why I feel the way I feel either. It's just there's also a beauty in that. Like, people who say, oh, yeah, I voted for Trump. And people say, well, why'd you vote for Trump? Because I did and I could. That's your opinion. But don't get mad if you have people asking you about it. Like, you made a decision. People are going to be, they're probably going to be curious about it. But they're also going to want to see, how do you feel about it now? Do you feel like you made a good decision now? Do you still feel like you wanted to do that? Was that a great move for you? Hey, I think for me, I don't really care too much about, political affiliations. I have friends who are Democrats. I have friends who are Republicans. What I care more about is how people boast that. Like, it's one thing to be a Republican, but it's also another thing to be on social media patronizing other people. Like, oh yeah, this, and this. Like, I don't like all that. That's too much energy. Like, y'all really have all this energy to be posting on social media about how much you love Trump, or how much you feel like, the Democrats are terrible, or they're not doing a good job, or they're doing an amazing job. Hey, whatever you feel about it. Like, man, oh man. But you also have to stay in the know about these things. You also have to stay in the know about, listen, not every battle is worth fighting. Not every battle do you have to fight. Like, I'm a black male in a society where we're talking about, like, I saw a post the other day about World Star, and it was like, wow, promoting black love. And then somebody's like, oh, well, why does love have to have a color? Like, okay, we're talking about, love having a color, but it's two individuals that love each other, regardless of his black love, white love. Yeah, I get all that, but why argue with that? Oh, I don't agree with this, and because if it was a white couple, but it wasn't. And, like race baiting and stuff like that. All that's very trivial. All is very hard to get into. But I also, as a black individual who's also been in those conversations where people try to bring up race so much, I try to stray away from it, because it's the easiest conversation and it's the easiest way to get agitated, that I've just tried to not even pay it no mind, like not giving no energy. I'm not giving you no energy towards it. I'm fine over here. But if somebody else is getting agitated and somebody else is like, oh, well, it's because you're this, it's because you're that, or, oh, you probably shouldn't say this word because you're black and it was used to enslave your people. Yeah, well, you probably shouldn't say it either. Yeah, well, I'm not the one who created it, and I'm not the one who created my circumstances, so therefore I am a product of my environment. So if people around me said it and I started saying it, like, sorry, I was influenced by it. Everybody's afforded their own opinion. And opinions are powerful. Some problematic, some very, interesting. But you also have to be able to discern an opinion from fact. It's the reality of the world we live in. But y'all have a great day, Great night. Talk to y'all again soon. Deuces. Oh, I didn't stop.